If two Social Security payments just landed in your account, or you're about to see one, stop what you're doing because most people completely misread what this means, and that mistake could mess up your entire monthly budget. Here's what's actually happening right now. Millions of Americans receiving SSA, SSI, and SSDI benefits are seeing what looks like a double payment in April 2026. And there is massive confusion about what this money actually is. Let me set the record straight right now, because the internet is flooded with bad information on this. The Social Security Administration has a strict rule. When the first of the month falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, SSI payments are moved to the last business day of the month before, so your money arrives before new monthly expenses hit. That means if you receive both SSI and Social Security retirement benefits, you will likely see two separate payments arriving in the same month on different dates. And that is not a bonus. It is not extra money. It is your scheduled payments arriving at different times. On top of that, the Social Security Fairness Act already sent over 3.1 million payments totaling $17 billion to eligible beneficiaries. So some people are also seeing those one-time back payments hitting their accounts right alongside their regular monthly check, which is making everything even more confusing. Here is what you absolutely must know before this weekend. Whether that second deposit is yours to spend freely or money you need to hold for next month. Stay with me because I'm breaking down the exact payment schedule, who qualifies for what, and what happens if you spend that advance payment too early. So let's start from the very beginning, because if you don't understand how the Social Security payment system actually works, you are always going to be confused every single time one of these so-called double payment situations shows up in your bank account. And trust me, this happens multiple times a year. It is not a one-time thing. And yet, every single time it happens, millions of people across the country have the same exact reaction. They either get excited, thinking they got a bonus, or they panic, thinking something went wrong with their benefits. Both reactions are completely understandable, but both are also completely unnecessary once you understand the real mechanics behind what the SSA is actually doing. Here is the foundation you need to understand. The Social Security Administration distributes payments across 5 separate dates every single month. Those dates cover SSI, SSDI, and retirement beneficiaries, and they are spread out across the month specifically to avoid system overload and processing delays. This means the government is not sending everyone their check on the same day. They have designed this system around your birth date, your benefit type, and when you first started receiving benefits. Once you know your group, your payment date is essentially the same every single month, unless a weekend or federal holiday shifts things around, which brings us to the heart of what we are talking about today. If you receive supplemental security income, which is SSI, your payment is deposited on the first day of each month. But here is the critical rule. The SSA issues SSI payments early whenever the first of the month falls on a weekend or a federal holiday. So picture this. November 1st falls on a Saturday. The SSA is not going to make you wait until Monday. They send that payment on the last business day of October instead, which is October 31st. Now, you just got your October payment on October 1st, and you are already seeing November's payment on October 31st. 2 deposits, same month. Not extra money, not a bonus. Just the SSA making sure you get paid before the new month officially kicks in and your bills start coming due. This is so important to understand right now because in 2026, a double payment situation for SSI recipients will happen in July, October, and December. So this is not some random glitch. This is the calendar doing exactly what it is supposed to do, and the SSA following its own rules to the letter. If you are an SSI recipient, you need to mark those months on your calendar right now, because when that second deposit drops, it is not yours to celebrate and spend freely. That money is already spoken for. It is your next month's payment arriving early, and if you spend it all because you thought it was extra cash, you are going to find yourself with nothing coming in during the following month when you expect a deposit and it does not show up. Now, let's talk about another reason why so many people are seeing what looks like double deposits or unusually large payments hitting their accounts right now in 2026. This one is a big deal, and honestly, it is one of the most significant changes to Social Security in decades. It is called the Social Security Fairness Act. And if you worked in a public sector job at any point in your career, as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, a federal employee under the Civil Service Retirement System, or even certain jobs covered by a foreign social security system, this law directly affects your money and you need to pay close attention. President Biden signed the Social Security Fairness Act into law on January 5th, 2025, and it repealed two provisions that had been penalizing public servants for decades: the windfall elimination provision, known as WEP, and the government pension offset, known as GPO. These two rules had been silently cutting into the Social Security checks of millions of hardworking Americans for years, and most people had no idea just how much money was being taken from them every single month. The WEP specifically targeted workers who split their careers between the private sector and a public agency that did not participate in the Social Security tax system. If you had a government pension from that kind of job, the SSA would reduce your Social Security benefit by hundreds of dollars a month. In many cases, the reduction was over $500 every single month, which for someone on a fixed income is absolutely devastating. And the GPO was even more brutal in certain situations. Before the repeal, if a retired teacher or firefighter tried to claim a survivor benefit based on their deceased spouse's private sector work history, the government would legally reduce that survivor payout by exactly two-thirds of the teacher's own public pension, and in many tragic cases, this massive calculation completely erased the survivor benefit, reducing it all the way down to $0. Think about that for a second. A widow or widower who spent their entire life serving their community as a public school teacher. And when their spouse passed away, they got absolutely nothing in survivor benefits, despite their spouse having paid into Social Security their entire working life. That was legal. That was policy. And it devastated millions of families across this country for years. But that is over now. The Social Security Administration began adjusting monthly benefit payments starting February 25th, 2025, and the law is retroactive all the way back to January 2024, meaning that affected beneficiaries received a one-time lump sum payment covering all the benefit increases they were owed going back to that date. As of July 7th, 2025, the SSA had already completed sending over 3.1 million payments, totaling $17 billion to beneficiaries eligible under the Social Security Fairness Act, finishing 5 months ahead of schedule. So if you are one of those people and you saw a large unexpected deposit hit your bank account recently, that is why. That is real money you earned. That is money that was being withheld from you under rules that have now been abolished. However, and this is really important, some individuals are still waiting for their full retroactive payments, particularly surviving spouses and people who never filed for benefits in the first place, because they were told years ago by SSA employees that the GPO would reduce their benefit to zero anyway, so they simply never applied. If that sounds like your situation, do not assume your case has been handled automatically. You need to take action. You can call the SSA's national 800 number at 1-800-772-1213, and your call will be connected to a dedicated team of technicians who can take claims immediately. That line is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not wait on this. If you believe you are owed back payments and you have not received them yet, pick up the phone this weekend. Now let's get back to the payment schedule itself, because there is another layer to this that a lot of people are completely overlooking. If you receive both SSI and SSDI simultaneously, you legitimately receive two separate deposits in the same month, because SSI is paid on the first of the month and SSDI is paid on a Wednesday that corresponds to your birth date, either the second, third, or fourth Wednesday, depending on whether your birthday falls between the 1st and 10th, the 11th and 20th, or the 21st and 31st of the month. So if you are one of the millions of Americans receiving both types of benefits, seeing two different deposits in your account every month is perfectly normal. That is not a mistake, and you do not need to call the SSA to report it. That is simply how the system is designed to work for dual beneficiaries. Here is something else that is causing a lot of confusion right now. Social Security beneficiaries and SSI recipients received a 2.8% cost of living adjustment for 2026, which took effect in January. That means your check already got bigger at the start of this year. For the average retired worker, that 2.8% COLA translated to about $56 more per month, raising the average monthly benefit from approximately $2,008 to about $2,064. And while $56 might not sound like a life changing number, when you stack it on top of the Fairness Act increases that some people are receiving, plus the regular monthly payment coming in at a different time due to calendar shifts, you can start to see why so many people are genuinely confused when they look at their bank statements right now and see amounts that are different from what they expected. But here is where you also need to be honest with yourself about what this COLA actually does and does not do for your budget. Seniors on Medicare spend about 13.6% of their income on health related expenses, more than double what younger people spend. And at the same time, Medicare Part B premiums are projected to jump $21.50 in 2026, or about 11.6%, rising to $206.50 per month. For the majority of Social Security recipients, that Medicare premium gets deducted directly from your monthly check before it ever hits your bank account. So that $56 increase you got from the COLA can get eaten up very quickly when Medicare takes its bigger bite. This is exactly why understanding exactly what is in your check and what has been deducted before you even see it matters so much. The SSA strongly recommends that every beneficiary set up a My Social Security account at ssa.gov because it gives you access to your annual COLA benefit amount and tax forms up to 3 weeks earlier than receiving them by mail, and it allows you to manage your direct deposit information, request replacement cards, and monitor your payment history all in one place. This is not just a convenience, it is genuinely the best way to catch any errors in your payments before they compound over months and cost you real money. If your payment amount looks different than you expected, logging into that account gives you the breakdown right there without having to sit on hold with the SSA for an hour. And speaking of catching errors, do not ignore your mail from the SSA right now. Anyone whose monthly benefit was adjusted under the Social Security Fairness Act or who received a retroactive lump sum payment will receive a mailed notice from Social Security explaining the benefit change or past due payment. And in some cases, you may receive two separate mailed notices. The first when WEP or GPO is removed from your record, and a second when your monthly benefit amount is officially adjusted. A lot of people throw out government mail thinking it is junk or just another piece of paperwork that does not matter. Right now, those letters from the SSA matter a great deal. Read every single one of them. If the numbers in that letter do not match what you are seeing in your bank account, call the SSA immediately. One more thing that you absolutely need to know this weekend, and this is something the government and mainstream news outlets are not talking about loudly enough. Executive Order 14247 mandated electronic payments, meaning that paper checks from Social Security are being phased out entirely. If you are still receiving a paper check in the mail, that is going to change. And you need to get ahead of it now by switching to direct deposit or setting up a Direct Express debit card. Do not wait until your paper check stops arriving to figure out what happened. Log into ssa.gov, call the 800 number, or visit your local SSA office and make that switch before it becomes a problem. The SSA strongly encourages electronic payments, and you can switch to direct deposit by logging into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov or by contacting the SSA directly. The bottom line is this: the double payments people are seeing right now are real, they are legitimate, and they are the result of at least three different things happening at the same time. Calendar-driven SSI payment shifts, Social Security Fairness Act back payments hitting accounts, and the regular staggered payment schedule for people receiving multiple benefit types. None of this means you got extra money. None of it means the system made a mistake. But all of it means you need to know your specific situation, understand which deposits belong to which month, and make sure you are not spending next month's payment before next month even arrives. That mistake is easier to make than you think, and recovering from it when you are on a fixed income is not easy. Know your schedule, check your My Social Security account, read your mail from the SSA, and if anything looks off, call them. That is the real information you needed this weekend.